What happened when you were 18?
I was about 20 feet above the river embankment, went to jump for the rope swing and missed it. When I landed on my left shoulder and I had a spinal cord injury.
At what point did you decide, all right, I'm going to use this for good, use this for fuel, versus using it as a crutch?
You can always let an injury or setback define you, or you can define it.
Hard work is subjective. People will say they work hard when they don't work hard.
The guys that are constantly pushing, constantly outdoing are the ones that are the most successful.
What do you think of the insurance, which I would call it a scam in America today?
It's wild. I think it's just a
What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Elliott Caldwell Podcast. I am here with my friends Christian and Cole. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks for having
us.
For sure. So Cole, I want to start here. So obviously you have a crazy story. When you experienced a spinal cord injury when you were 18 years old, that kind of led you into choosing law as a career. What was the pivotal moment? Well, first take us through what happened when you were 18.
So when I was 18 years old, this was about 5 days before my high school graduation. We went to the high school it was something called baccalaureate, where we get to try on our gowns, do all of our awards for the year, and kind of just take pictures with classmates and things like that to get ready for graduation in the coming days. So I grew up in a real small town, small area. We would usually go out on the Swanee River. It's like a river place. So me and a couple buddies after baccalaureate had went over there. It was one of them river places that had like high docks, rope swings, slides, all that kind of stuff. So long story short, we went there that day. It was a hot day during the summertime. It was like the middle of May. So it was like 100 degrees outside. And I was on the end of one of the docks and the rope swing was getting ready to come back to me. Everybody would just jump for the rope swing and swing out into the water. I don't know if I had slipped off the dock or what, but I was about 20 feet above the river embankment, went to jump for the rope swing and missed it. So when I landed on my left shoulder and part of my head. And when I hit, I bounced up and kind of rolled into the water. As soon as it happened, it's kind of like a shock goes through your body. I didn't really know what happened, but it was like everything just kind of tensed up and went numb, and I couldn't feel anything from my chest line down. They had got EMS out there. They got me off the river embankment to a local fire rescue, and then they life flighted me to Shands in Gainesville. Found out that I had a spinal cord injury and was paralyzed from the chest line down. Tell an 18-year-old kid that, and it just blows up. You don't really know how to move on after that. I mean, I had so many hopes and dreams and things like that after school. I mean, I always had going to law school, being an attorney in the back of my mind. That was something I always wanted to do. I was part of the criminal justice program in high school, but I didn't really want to go the law enforcement route. I liked the law itself, and that kind of just derailed me. So I didn't know how I was going to be able to pursue that, how I was going to be able to do classes, drive, I mean, even just kind of do every day-to-day activities. And fortunately, growing up in a real small town, we had one red light in the entire county. We had more cows than people. So it really brought the community together. And when one person's hurting like that, everybody's hurting. So I had a ton of support. I was in the Shands ICU unit for 10 days. I was a total of 9 days post spinal cord injury before they sent me to Shepherd Center in Atlanta for rehab. So I'd never been in a wheelchair. As soon as I got off the plane that next day, I was in a wheelchair doing PT. So it was rough, but I was one of the fastest to go through inpatient and outpatient. And I was in and out of therapy in a total of a month and a half. So less than 2 months post spinal cord injury, I was back home and trying to figure out how to do day-to-day activities after that.
So when it comes to viewpoint on life, so yesterday we're in church, we go to Harborside up in Safety Harbor, and I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and the message is on leading up to Thanksgiving next week. It was just kind of being on what you're thankful for. And then probably 10 or 15 minutes late into church, a parent's come walking by, probably a 7-year-old who had whatever the medicine was in a bag. He's going through chemo, obviously, completely bald head. You just tell that, who knows what's going on. I don't know exactly what's going on. And the message is on thanks, on being thankful. And so I have a healthy 5-year-old and a healthy 3-year-old. I mean, tears are coming down my face when I see this kid, right? I mean, I'm just like pouring tears. I'm like, golly, you got so much to be thankful for. At that point, I think what's cool about your story, I was talking to our team last week. We had our entire team in, and you can either use what happens to you as a crutch or fuel. You've obviously turned it into fuel. You could have made it a crutch, and you could have completely ruined your life. But at what point obviously when it first started, you probably so many feelings you had. At what point did you decide, all right, I'm going to use this for good, use this for fuel versus using it as a crutch?
I mean, it wasn't too long after I got back home. Of course, the depression kind of set in maybe the first 6 months or so after I got back home, because I was stuck at home. All my friends that were there with me during high school, they were out doing their own thing, starting jobs, having families. So all the support I had was kind of gone, and I had no independence. I had to have somebody help me even maneuver off the couch to my chair, go to the bathroom, even riding in a vehicle. And my parents were super hovering at that point too. I mean, they had never dealt with that before, and I can't imagine what any parent or my parents had to go through with that. But fortunately, I found there was a guy that was in the neighboring county that had a spinal cord injury about a year before I did. Mm-hmm. So I used him as a great resource to kind of reach out to, figure out what kind of options I could get to and kind of help with my independence. So I found a place over in Gainesville that actually was able to outfit my truck with a crane, a drop-down seat, and hand control. So I'm able to transfer into my truck. The crane will come around, pick my chair up, and I can go without having to have somebody there with me. And it's just, the independence is one thing that really helped with that. And then afterwards, I was able to go onto campus to start classes. I started off with one class at a local community college that I did dual enrollment through, and I was able to do that, drive there, drive home without having to have my mom or my dad or my sister, anybody help me get to class, kind of maneuver throughout everything with that, and just kind of went from there. And I had a great support system. Like I said, I grew up in a really small town, so my mom would make weekly posts about how I was doing with rehab therapy, things like that, and I just had a flood of emotions of people just boosting me up continuously, like just reaching out to me, hey man, how you doing? I hope you're doing good. Great to see all what you're doing. You're such an inspiration, and just things like that mean the world, because people still notice you as a person. Most people see a person in a wheelchair and they're like, I don't really know how to approach this person, or how do I talk to them. People are kind of standoffish sometimes too, but it's great to feel noticed, and like you're still a person at the end of the day, even if you're limited to a wheelchair.
I love thinking about like viewpoints on live, and I feel like you would have a unique answer to this question. People go through all kind of stuff in life. Sometimes it's, I don't want to act like it's not stuff that matters, like a breakup or silly stuff like that, right? And they feel like the world has ended. What is your viewpoint on life? And not maybe, what advice would you have to somebody that's going through, something really crappy in life?
I mean, I always looked at it this way, is something you mentioned earlier. It's like you can always let an injury or setback define you, or you can define it. I mean, it's always that mindset. It's not the physical aspect of it. It's just the mental aspect of it. It's just once you get it into your mind that you can't do something, or you're discouraged, you're never going to do it. But I wasn't going to let my injury define me. I wanted to continue to see what life would have for me, what kind of opportunities, and it led to some great opportunities. I was able to go back to school. I graduated from the University of Florida. I was a double gator.
Gators.
That's right, man. Too bad they let me down this weekend. But I was a double gator. I did my undergrad there and law school, and I actually interned at Pipas Law all through law school too. Oh, cool. So it was another cool story how that happened. I went through law school my first year through COVID. That was a difficult time as well, trying to find internships and build connections, because a lot of people had pretty much shut down, didn't want to do anything during that time. But yeah, just to go back to that, I would just say you can either let injury or setback define you, or you can define it and go run with it.
That's awesome. On to the boss man. You are the boss man, right, Christian? The boss man.
I am.
Christian Pipas. Christian, let's talk about, let's kind of move into Pipas and everything going on. At what point did you realize, and we'll get back to your backstory too, but at what point did you realize you wanted to get out of where you were working and start your own firm?
I didn't have a whole lot of money. I started working out of my townhouse, which is a couple blocks from here. I had a handful of clients when I got started, and I knew I wanted to do personal injury, which was tough at the time because there were other cases coming in, family law, criminal law, things I knew how to do. It was easy money, but I knew if I started taking those types of cases, I was going to get stuck with those types of cases. So I used those types of cases to market, give those to other attorneys that do that, and in the hopes of just doing personal injury law. So I was working in my own townhouse, and then some construction started across the street. They were doing some pile driving, needed to find an office. So again, didn't have a whole lot of money, found a place in downtown here. That was a few $100s a month, shared office space. And that's kind of where it started. Clients, I would just talk to every single person I could get in front of to try to build up cases, and kind of just started going from there.
And how many cases will you finish off this year, give or take?
Probably 800.
That's awesome. 11 years ago, you went on your own. This year, 800 cases. It's insane. Congratulations, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah. Why you said you really wanted to do personal injury versus family and everything else? Why?
I like the practice area with the contingency work. It's a very lucrative practice area, one. But two, I knew I didn't want to do billing, and I didn't want to be constantly hounding clients for payment and retainers, and it's just a happier area working on contingency.
And then is it retainer plus reward at the end, or just the reward at the end?
Just the reward at the end.
So based off how do you split it? Is it different for everybody?
It's a 33 and a third percent. In pre-suit, if a lawsuit's filed, it's 40%. So it's pretty standard across the board.
And then how'd you find Cole?
Cole came through my old law school had a mentor program, which I had done many times in the past, and I would kind of tell them all the same thing. Look, I'll make the most of it as much as you want to make of it. And most of the kids were all excited in the beginning of, hey, I want to work hard, do all these things, and they would all fall off. Cole didn't. He stayed with it and started in the mentor program, and then he started interning that summer and basically never left.
So that's awesome. Cole, with your personal story, how does it influence your approach to how you represent clients?
Well, I mean, I guess with the injury that I had, I know what it's like to go through a traumatic injury and not know what to expect, what's to do next. And I just want to be able to help my clients throughout that process. When I had my accident, nothing could be done to help me. I couldn't even tell you how much in medical bills we had for a spinal cord injury, being in ICU for 10 days, rehab, things like that. But there's nothing that can be done to help me financially to recoup for those bills. So I want to do everything I can to help clients get the treatment that they need, pay off all their medical bills, and get them enough money in their pocket at the end of the day so they can push that for any future medical treatment that they need.
To either one of you, what do you think of the insurance, which I would call it a scam in America today?
Which what are you referring to?
So with the whole point of, all right, I forget the exact numbers, but my wife had an emergency C-section, and if it weren't for insurance, the bill was like $180,000, and then she's pregnant with our third child, and we're talking through whether it be self-pay or running through the insurance or whatnot. Self-pays I think $12,000 for a scheduled C-section versus $180K, which, I mean, yeah, they're a little different, but in the end, they ain't, $160K different.
Yeah.
So it's just like the difference in price versus self-pay versus insurance. Like, what the hell is going on?
It's wild. I think it's just a cycle where insurance companies wanted to make more money. So what they did is they overinflated the rates, essentially. The providers overinflated their own rates, so the health insurance reimbursement would be higher. So I think it just was started off and just kind of escalated to where it is today.
So out of that $180K, the price is paid to the hospital for their profit, and the rest gets paid to the insurance company. Is that how it works?
No, the insurance company just gets to pay a lesser amount.
Okay.
So I think it was a combination where the medical providers were wanting to get paid more, so they had to increase their rates so the insurance would pay them properly.
Another question for both. What core values from kind of your personal background, whether it's adaptive sports or whether it's, when at internships or, growing up when you were a kid, that have carried over to your legal practice? What's up, you guys? I wanted to introduce to you our done-for-you Airbnb investing service called B&B Turnkey that has massive tax implications. It's basically an investing service that allows you to invest in cash-flowing Airbnbs and not do any of the work. It's best explained in 3 phases. Number 1, we find, analyze, and underwrite the property. In phase 2, we handle all the interior design and construction. And then phase 3, we manage the property on the back end. The best part is most of our clients qualify for the short terminal loophole of the IRS tax code. This allows for average clients to write off over $200,000 in depreciation on their tax bill. For more information, click the link in the description to connect with our team. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode.
I mean, with me, I kind of had a different aspect of that. When I was in high school growing up, I was not as outgoing. I was shy, I just did sports and kind of went through high school that way. Until I got out of high school and into college, I became more like outspoken, marketing, the aspect side of it too. And especially with my injury as well, I mean, having numerous people talk to me about it, and it just kind of helped open up that way. And then taking college classes helped as well with learning how to talk to people, building connections, things like that. And that was one thing that I found down here as well. I didn't have many adaptive sports up in Gainesville, and I've played wheelchair football, wheelchair basketball, and I'm getting into like wheelchair tennis. So a guy I knew told me, he's like, "Hey, we're starting a wheelchair tennis team." I was like, all right, well, never thought that was a thing. Yeah. So let's try it, see what happens. And just building those connections to help for the business side of it as well, because they start to trust you and they'll be able to refer you in the future. Oh, yeah. And then kind of goes from there, especially like building up cases.
What about you, Christian? Anything background wise?
I would say working at a ton of different places. I think I had 50 or 60 different jobs before I started my own practice. So having a diverse background in so many different things was helpful as far as.
Let's see, junior year at Carolina after the baseball season, I had like a little nagging injury. So I didn't play summer league that year. Going into my senior year, so my parents were like, all right, you got to get a job. I was like, okay, cool. So one of the boosters, he owned a worm farm. Okay. So I was a worm counter. What that means is, so worms come from Europe, out of all places. I don't know why. They come from Europe in bulk. I mean, a big cardboard box just filled with dirt and worms, and that's it. And there was an 8 count and a 16 count, depending on what bowls you were given that day. You had to pick out 8 worms or 16 worms and put them in the bucket and put them to the side. So I counted worms all day. So beat that. Christian, beat that.
I don't think I can beat it.
Yeah. I'm never going to the worm farm ever again. Thank God. It smelled so bad too. Oh man.
Put that on your resume.
Yeah. I was good at it though, Christian. I could count some worms. I was the fastest worm counter in America.
Yeah, I'd probably say McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's when I was like 14 or 15.
Man, you get free McDonald's though. That's not that bad. As a high school kid, who wouldn't take that? you've both done kind of both sides of personal injury defense and the plaintiff side. How does that dual insight give you an edge in handling cases?
It's nice being able to know what the other side is doing, simply put. I think most attorneys that do it long enough, whether they work the other side or not, have a good idea of what the other side is planning or doing. So it just helps in kind of moving things along.
How are you balancing running the business with being an attorney?
Well, I mainly run the business now. I have very few clients that I actually handle. I think a year or two ago, I was trying to run a full case list of clients and run the business, and it was too much. So I scaled it way back, and now I just focus on mainly running the business and helping the other attorneys.
What does that mean? Helping them, hiring more attorneys, or is it
just helping them with strategy and day-to-day case stuff?
Do you want to hire more attorneys? Or are you trying to scale?
Do I want to? No.
Yeah.
But
you have
we
to,
probably
yes.
will have to.
Yeah. Cole, with your focus on traumatic injury, with personal injury, what are some of the biggest misconceptions your clients have when they first come to you?
I mean, a lot of times when clients come to me, a lot of people have never went through a personal injury case before. So they don't know what to expect, what's to come. So I try to explain the entire process to them so they're as comfortable and familiar as possible.
What's that process, long story short?
So, I mean, we kind of have a wide variety of when clients come to us. Sometimes they come to us right after an accident. They've never spoke to their insurance company or got any treatment or anything like that. So we can get the driver exchange, crash report, whatever, and get a claim set up for them that way, get everything moving so they don't ever have to talk to their insurance company, never have to deal with them. Because a lot of insurance companies will pressure clients into settling too early. I mean, you may call your insurance company and let them know what happened, say, hey, we'll give you $3,000 or $4,000, and that's all we're going to give you. Most people are like, oh, great, $3,000 or $4,000, let me take this and run with it. And then come to find out a little while later, you have all these other injuries that start to accumulate as the adrenaline starts to wear off from the accident, and you may have more and more injuries. A lot of people don't know what they have until 2-3 weeks after an accident, until after you get the initial consult and MRIs done.
Christian, especially when you were practicing, more and more cases, what kind of cases brought you the most satisfaction? And then opposite of that, what kind of cases did you dread?
Most satisfaction are the clients that listen to us, and the ones that would get better and be very happy at the end, right? Yeah. That's any personal injury attorney probably say the same thing. The ones that I dread are the ones that are not listening. The ones you wonder what they're doing. Why are you hiring an attorney if you're not listening to their advice?
And typically, what are they doing to not listen?
It could be anything. Simple example, be cautious what you're putting on social media.
Yeah.
We had a guy one time put he had a back injury and was doing some upside down yoga pose as his cover photo. People post really stupid things on there. So
don't say you've ever hurt back and you're really doing backflips.
No, we've had some pretty wild things. Someone running a Tough Mudder that was claiming an injury. So it may not have anything to do with their specific injury, but the insurance company, that's low hanging fruit for them. They look at that in almost every case now. What pictures can we find that is going to taint a jury, right? Because at the end of the day, that's who's evaluating this is a jury, not an expert, not an insurance adjuster. That's where we're getting evaluated by 6 people from a Publix, essentially. So if they see those pictures, even though it may not have anything to do with their specific injury, it still looks stupid.
What about you, Cole? Your favorite versus what you dread?
I guess just to piggyback off what Christian said, to the clients that listen to us, clients that want to get the case moving as quickly as possible and get basically their injuries as addressed as they can. We can wrap those cases up a lot quicker. Or if we have clients that don't want to do the treatment, don't want to communicate with us, just make the process so much longer and drawn out, and it just makes it a lot difficult to keep the case going. There's a lot of the insurance companies will use that as fuel if a client drops off from treatment for 3 or 4 months, and then we try to claim all these injuries. They'd be like, why is there a big gap in treatment and things like that? So,
Christian, like, as the personal injury side of law evolves, do you see anything over the next 5 years? Or anything currently happening that's evolving, or in the state of Florida, is it changing anything? Or?
Well, we had a recent law that passed a couple of years ago, big tort reform. Made it a little bit more difficult to get the proper value out of these cases. I do foresee all the new safety features in cars eventually changing things and making accidents less frequent, things like that. So I would say that's likely to change as insurance is going to keep lobbying to make it more difficult for what we do. And then my cars are just getting safer. So
I asked my wife this question the other day. If no one had a cell phone, everybody went 10 and 2, did the speed limit, would there be 99% less wrecks? Yeah. Okay, good. Yep. She said the same thing. So I'm guessing cell phones are just play a crucial role in everything going on, personal injury side.
Yeah, definitely.
That and the occasional road rage.
Road rage. Mm-hmm. Vic, I can see you getting road rage. Yeah, I can see the Jersey coming out in you. Christian, as the founder, how do you cultivate a culture at Pipas that aligns with, any values that you might have, like grit, innovation, service, whatever it may be?
Look,
the softballs are over, Christian. It's time for the hard ones now.
I look for good people when we hire people. I like to let people thrive at what they're good at. I'm not a micromanager by any means. I just try to be there and support every employee the best I can for them to grow and do well. So I just think finding good people is what's been key to our success. And
yeah, I like that. I tell people here all the time, they're like, am I doing an okay job? Are you happy with, like, yes, listen, if I wasn't happy, you would know about it. It's a good thing that I'm not talking to you. That means you're doing your job and I don't have to talk to you about it. Many of our audience are real estate investors, entrepreneurs. What legal pitfalls and personal injury should they be aware of?
Just pitfalls and personal injury for your average listener. I would guess insurance, right? Having the proper insurance. The thing we run into all the time is gets a new client in, and the first thing we want to figure out is what is the insurance coverage we have available, right? What are the parameters on what we can collect? Because it's difficult to go after individuals in the state of Florida. Can you do it? Sure, but it's usually a long, difficult process. So we always look for insurance, right? And the common thing is I have full coverage. There's no such thing as full coverage, right? It's a common misconception. People think they have good coverage, but they don't have the correct coverage. So they'll have, $250,000 of bodily injury coverage, but not have any uninsured motorist coverage. So what that means is they're essentially covering someone they might hit for $250,000, but have nothing for themselves or their own passengers or family. So that's, I guess, the most common thing we run into is people don't have the right insurance or proper insurance. So getting uninsured motorists is probably the smartest thing.
With little knowledge, I would agree. I work with a micro family office, and like one of the first things they did was like audit insurance. Not anything personal liability, company liability, kind of everything. Have you guys done much or any at all in property management, trip and falls, or anything like that?
Sure. Have we done those cases? Yes. We probably have a handful going on right now. We are very selective in those types of cases, especially after that tort reform I was just talking about that passed. Now, if someone is found 50% at fault or more, they can't recover anything. Whereas in the past, you could be 99% at fault for something and still make a claim for the 1% of damages. So now there's a lot more protections for business owners and things like that for slip and fall. So as long as you're using common sense and reasonable care with things, I think most people are in a good place. You can only protect yourself so much, right?
Question for both of you. When someone's deciding or choosing a personal injury attorney, what are some red flags that they need to be look out for someone they might not should go with?
Probably someone willing to reduce their fees right out the gate. We run into that often, where somebody will, be talking to us and somebody else say, well, they're going to do it for half the price or whatnot. That's usually a red flag because we don't know what we're getting into.
If you want half the result, go with half the price.
Yeah. So that's a red flag. People that do multiple different practice areas and do personal injuries also usually a red flag. Some people are great at it, but look, we do personal injury all day, every day. That's all we do. Mm-hmm. And we're still learning. I'm still learning. So I find it hard to think if you're doing multiple different areas of law that you're going to be super proficient at personal injury. There's a lot to know in that practice area.
What'd you say, Cole?
Yeah, it's just being an attorney for 2 years going on now. I haven't had any cases where clients are coming in asking those types of questions. A lot of people that come in are just wanting to seek help, honestly. I don't really have any other thing to add to that as far as red flags.
Attorneys or, hopeful attorneys entering law school, what advice would you give them?
What are they going to law school for?
Personal injury, baby.
Yeah, personal injury.
Yeah.
Just to get out and network as much as possible. So personal injury is really a practice area that you do well at if you're a social person. It's not a position where you're going to be sitting in an office all day. That doesn't generate cases. If you drive around town, you'll see a ton of billboards with personal injury, right? It's a cutthroat industry. It's very competitive. So again, that would be the advice: is get out and talk to everyone you can, meet all your classmates, and have a good network. So when you get out, you have that to bring cases with.
Cole, you just went through it.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to meet Christian whenever I was going through law school in my first year, and it's always good to reach out to as many people as you can, especially people who have been through law school or are in a field that you're interested in. A lot of people that are going through law school don't know what exactly the route they're going towards until they take certain classes, but doing internships during the summer, I would say to take the summers off, don't worry about classes, do internships, network with people, and that will kind of gear you towards what you want to go into, especially with personal injury too. Coming into a firm, learning how the process is, how cases are run, things to look out for, things like that helped me whenever I did get out, and was kind of just able to hit the ground running after that. We moved down here, and then I just focused really on marketing because I interned all through law school, so I learned a little bit about the process through pre-suit, and then I learned a little bit more through litigation as I'm.
Well, I try to end the podcast with this question here, with the podcast being on successful DNA. It doesn't have to be like what's inside of you, but like what do you think has to be inside of someone from a value perspective to be successful? So maybe Christian, maybe some of your attorneys, like what's inside of them that has made them like rock stars? Honestly,
it's just those that have hard work and drive. I know it's kind of a cliche thing, but the guys that are constantly pushing, constantly outdoing, are the ones that are the most successful. It's not something you can turn off at 5 o'clock, especially in our practice. It's making everything they do part of work to some degree. It doesn't have to feel like work, but it's just a constant everyday thing. Just talking to people about it. That's just networking.
Yeah, I like that. I think hard work is subjective. Like, I'm working hard. Are you? Like the best way, you'll like this, Cole. Like if you relate it to sports, like if you're even if you're a college athlete, and let's say you play college baseball at the University of Florida, if you're only doing what your coach is telling you to do, like you're not going to be the best version of yourself, right? It's like, all right, hey, we're working out. Cool. Are you staying after you work out for an hour, working out more, right? And there's like, I think the definition of hard work, I tell people all the time, I hang out with my kids and I work. That is all I do, which might be sad to some people, but like, I don't go out on Friday nights, Saturday nights. I don't, but yeah, I think the value of hard work is a lost commodity in the world today. And people will say they work hard when they don't work hard.